Hello guys, this is John Lamb, Last Free Man. We're here to talk about Exxon Mobil and the case that just ended out in New York. Roger Roots, professor for Lysander Spooner University and Anti-Government News, is going to give us a full update.
Yes, just today, this is breaking news. The state of New York was suing Exxon Mobil in state court, New York City. I actually attended the first week of that trial. This was at one time talked about as one of the biggest trials in American history. It was going to be the trial of the century. It started out with a 3.5-year investigation by the government of New York into claims that Exxon, had covered up evidence of climate change or something, and that Exxon was somehow secretly funding skeptic research, to thwart the advancement of government socialism to stop climate change or something like that. Some of you are familiar with the book and the movie called Merchants of Doubt. This was a theory that the government has promoted. A lot of the government trusters have claimed that, the science is all settled. 97% of all the scientists agree that, fossil fuels are going to destroy the earth with, we're all going to be burned alive and boiled like frogs on the surface of the earth from climate change, and that somehow Exxon was responsible for A, knowing about it before anybody else did, which of course is totally disproven, and B, covering it up and then funding skeptical science. Of course, the reality is that the Exxon Mobil Corporation has actually been, I would say, overtly, pronouncing that it agrees with these claims. And I think between me and the listeners and the viewers, in my opinion, I think Exxon Mobil executives just made a decision at some point 20 years ago, and they said, hey, let's just tell everybody we believe in this crap, and let's just pretend we believe in this religion of catastrophic doomsday climate change. Anyways, bottom line, they've been in a big trial in the state of New York, which has been watched worldwide. And today the judge came down. Today is December what? What is it?
10th.
December 10th. The Judge Barry Ostriger, state judge of New York, right in downtown Lower Manhattan, came down with a verdict, basically an award for Exxon. So the state of New York has failed to, they were actually, I should go a little bit deeper into it. At one time they thought they would try to allege or prove that Exxon, had covered up evidence of its fossil fuel implications to climate change. Then they, later on, when they filed it last year, it became nothing but a securities fraud case, and they alleged that Exxon Mobil's corporate reports had somehow, with their color coding, had misinformed the shareholders and investors. Anyways, so it was just a very minor case at the end. In fact, the state of New York actually admitted at the end of the trial that they couldn't even prove intent, so they actually dropped 2 of the 4 counts at the very end of that trial. And today, it was a bench trial, not a jury trial. Today the judge came in about 2 weeks after the end of the trial with a verdict for Exxon.
Yeah.
So it's a great victory for that great...
David Boren says climate change is all about control over the people. How true is that?
How true is that?
Well, even Chile, they had major protests here in the last few weeks, and it actually shut down the big climate change thing they was going to have there in Chile, didn't they?
The government of Chile had positioned itself to be a so-called leader in the climate change carbon taxation scheme, and they've been converting all of their mass transit to electric, solar and wind generated. What has happened is the people have seen their power and their energy rates skyrocket down in Chile, and they started to riot, and that caused the UN to actually cancel the COP25 climate change meeting of the UN, and instead of having it in Chile this week, they've moved it to Madrid, Spain, where it's currently going on right now.
Well, thanks a lot, Roger, for that update. Roger spent several days out there in New York covering this trial, and so he couldn't wait to see exactly what was happening out there for the verdict, because it took so long for that verdict to come in, but that verdict came in just a day as you heard it. Thanks, Roger. Roger is the founder of Lysander Spooner University
and Anti-Government News, and you can visit us at lysanderspooneruniversity.com, or antigovernmentnews.com. We also have a very special guest with us, and that is Mr. Wes Kiar. And Wes Kerr, and he's one of the Bundy defendants from Oregon. Also, he is an expert on the oil industry. Go ahead.
Yeah, so like many of you all, I grew up on a farm and a ranch, and we can't make it anymore. Unless you're getting government grants and getting the loans from the government and going big time agriculture, you're not going to make it. So we have to go work in the oil field and other related industries. And now it seems that even though we're doing that, they want to shut down our ability to go make a good living. It's one of the only industries we can actually make a decent living at, a decent wage, is now under attack from this new religion, which is climate alarmism. Greta Thunberg and all these people are being funded to make you panic. They're saying, we want you to panic. Our house is on fire. These are lies. This 97% consensus is a lie. There's real science. If you guys want some good information on YouTube, there's a channel called JFG Livestreams. JF Garapy, called The Public Space. JFG Livestreams. He brings on real scientists. He doesn't take a position personally himself. He brings on real scientists, and they talk about the actual numbers. And these are men that have studied this issue for more than 50 years. The one guy did it for like 60. He's like 92 years old. He knows his stuff. There's things that we could do together and work together with liberals to fix, like particulate matter, such as pollution in the city, like in Salt Lake, is a real problem. We can work on these things, but only if we acknowledge the real science.
Didn't you also say you worked in the fossil fuel industry and you had great memories of all the great all the great bosses that you've had?
There's things that could be fixed about the oil industry for sure, but like anything else, you get people tyrannizing other people and trying to take advantage of them, and that's the way the world works. But we have to stand together to fight against that, and it just takes one or two good people to stand up and say, we have to treat each other decent. And that's like with the pollution. We need to get together and find out a solution to reduce the pollution in the cities, because the pollution creates a cap over the city which holds the heat in, which is why people are feeling the heat more, is because the pollution is, the particulate matter is holding the heat in over the city, plus all the asphalt. We're getting rid of all the farming fields, right? Which you drive past a nice alfalfa field, it's nice cool air, clean cool air. And then if it's all parking lots and all neighborhoods, and you don't leave any open space in the city, it's going to be warm. So I want to announce too that I'm going to be doing stepping away from the oil industry and going back to my roots on my farming, and I want to do some logging. So I'll be working with John on, he's going to teach me how to do some craftsmanship and custom log work, and I'm going to try to make a living off the land like my ancestors did. I'm going to document it, and I'm going to be coming out with a YouTube page and a channel, and I'll pass that through you guys on with John, and working with Roger and his university to document the process of trying to make a living off the land. And the government has us against the wall as a small farmer and rancher, and having access for logging. So we're excited to announce today that there's a small victory against the climate alarmists, which is basically a new false religion that it's all about controlling you and your opinions. It's not about the facts.
What's the name of your YouTube channel?
I haven't made one yet.
All right,
but I will, and I'll tell you through John.
Until then, antigovernmentnews.com, LysanderSplinterUniversity.com, and John Lamb, the Last Free Man YouTube channel.
Would you like to say anything, John? You want to show me your license plate?
Thanks a lot, guys. We will tune out here just now. Thanks again for joining us. Thanks again for James Freeman, who got me set up here, and John Lamb, Last Free Man, out of Bozeman, Montana.